So what is it about Trump that you love so much?
Number one, he's a godly man. He's working for God, for darn sure.
He loves us. He cares about what we do. He cares about how sad we are. He cares about the hungry. He cares about the...
And in a break from our publicized programming, we now go live to Punk Politics with Aid Thompson.
Welcome back to Punk Politics. I'm Aid Thompson. Today, let's talk about political cults. Now, this isn't an easy subject for me to go into because, you see, I'm starting one over on Patreon. But lampoon things I must. And then when people say that I'm a hypocrite, I'll just be like, no, it's actually a sort of a self-referential, endearingly self-deprecating kind of thing. Oh, right. That is clever. Well, yeah, I mean, if you like that, you should sign up for the Patreon. No. Anyway, cults, for those of you who are perhaps unaware, are a sort of church-like group of people whose limitless devotion to their usually charismatic leader is their absolute priority above everything else. But when people say cults, you normally think of like Scientology or the Manson family, right? You wouldn't perhaps traditionally think of the political mainstream. Like, cults used to be just a sort of offbeat, weird news story about a hippie commune in East California where they took a new angle on peace and love and turned it into kidnap and murder. Or maybe screaming Michael Jackson fans at the second child molestation trial. But we used to look at cults and cultism as something that only really troubles the more impressionable minds. But all that changed in 2015 when, both here and in the States, cults became less about offshoot counterculture and more about the mainstream.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States.
Sorry, this Brexit to me is like now a cult. I'm very concerned.
Indeed, about half the population, both here and in the US, seemingly decided to leave all dignity behind and behave like salivating tweens when it came to everything from Brexit to Donald Trump to Brewdog even. I'm serious. Take a look at this lot. Like, I love beer. I really do. And God knows I will warm to anyone tossing aside the mere possibility that they might ever one day address their underlying trauma to deal with their alcoholism for their entire life. You know, like, tattoo sounds good. Yeah, no, I'm never quitting. Like, literally never. Like, if that's your vibe, cool. And top marks, A star for expressing it so clearly. But honestly, you should have just got a tattoo of yourself at a bar, shrugging, with a speech bubble that just goes, fuck it. Like, that's your cult. You're a paid up member of alcohol. So I love beer, but even I would stop short of having a commercial brewery's logo branded onto me.
I got a Brewdog tattoo here, and I got a Brewdog tattoo right there.
You got one too? Can you show me?
Yeah.
Did you have a Brewdog wrap?
And if you all don't know, 9's the year. You can first buy shares in Brewdog beer.
Anyway, cults became the big thing, from beer to the right-wingers to swathes of Labour voters rallying behind Jeremy Corbyn. Plus, Brexiters couldn't bear to hear a word said against their pet project. Like, I don't know, maybe psychologically there's something in this. Like, you know how tweeny boppers don't have a lot of money or control over their life situation, and then they get really into this band or that movie star? Well, maybe as Western society has robbed grown adults of their money and control, they too are more susceptible to hero worship and cultism. I don't know. Maybe that's over-intellectualizing it a little bit. Maybe these people are just not fully developed.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump!
Because it was around 2015 and 2016 when the symptoms of our political cultism began to take root. People in America's post-industrial Rust Belt, drenched in deprivation and declinism, went running to a populist showman who would tell them anything that he wanted to if it would get him what he wanted.
We are going to start winning again. We will win, and we will win. I'm going to bring back millions of jobs.
President Trump unveiling what the White House is calling the biggest tax cut in American history.
Similarly, over here, we had Brexit and the same aversion to facts and reality.
I think the people in this country have had enough of experts.
We can argue about the numbers of the millions of people around the world who would like to come in the United Kingdom.
At the minute we leave the EU, we are going to have a 300% shortfall in vets, and this is not me scaremongering, it's a fact.
Daniela, thank you. You've made your points. You know, if we need vets, then we'll get vets to come and work in Britain and pay them to do so.
Like with Brexit, I think we all kind of know this by now, but there were huge chunks of the population that chose to continue to perpetuate these obviously broken promises because it was easier to do that than admit they had been had. No, I can't admit that it's all been a waste, or that it becomes embarrassing. It's much better to just crack on, because it might still be great. This way, I could continue to coast on the fumes of that potential. Are you talking about Brexit? No, I'm spending my rent money on the crab table. Right. You know, it's like that whole sunk cost fallacy thing. Like, I've put too much into this for it to all just be nothing. And of course, it's made all the more easy for you to carry on in such a cold when you've got the veritable grand wizards telling you to hang on in there. It'll pay off soon. Brexit benefits are just around the corner. Like, how is that not exactly the same as, all right, listen up, put your 20s in the basket that's going round, because I'm telling you now, people, Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior and angel of judgment is coming back any day now, so dig deep. And of course, digging deep, or digging deeper, is precisely what these people did and continue to do. Because where it started off was just with leaving the European Union.
Absolutely nobody is talking about threatening our place in the single market.
Close the borders, jobs for Brits, which was relatively tame by the rhetoric and policy standards of today. It was like, okay, well, if we have fewer European immigrants, that will mean that companies have to hire locally, which means they'll be forced to train Brits, or they'll have to pay more. That will improve British people's lives. Everybody's living standards will go up. Like, as much as we don't want to believe it, or like, there were some credible concepts, you know, around the vote leave thing somewhere. Like, it wasn't all complete rubbish. It's just that, you know, in a globalized world where many of these corporations are multinationals, why wouldn't they just go, well, it's just going to be cheaper for us to run this over here? So then they would, you know, hire the staff directly in Poland and sell the stuff back to the UK, because we would be so desperate for a trade deal, we'd just bend over and accept it. Anyway, what started with them just saying, well, maybe we should leave the EU, had to dig deeper, had to get more extreme. Then it became hard Brexit. We'll have to leave the single market and the customs union. There's just no other way. Then not even that was enough. They had to find something new to blame things on. I mean, otherwise you might start to question if you had bought into the right religion, if it's not doing what it said it'd do. Like, imagine if Jesus did come back and he was just a bit uninspiring. Jesus? Yeah, shouldn't we go feed the hungry, or like sort out world peace? Or I don't know. Is it cake is just about to come on? Oh, no. Can't have that at all. Can't have you questioning your religion. Like, imagine if that was you. Imagine if you signed up to a lifelong religion and then it turned out it wasn't quite what you thought. You know? Imagine you flew your plane into the building and then you end up with only 3 virgins. And they're not even that pretty. You'd be like, oh, man, I did all that for this? Well, yeah. I mean, you know, in fairness, we never said what kind of virgins they are. I mean, have you ever seen a f***able virgin? They'll have to keep digging deeper, keep getting more extreme. Because it started as the EU, but then it became the single market and customs union. Now it's the European Court of Human Rights. Next year it will be the UN or the IMF or the solar system, probably. And of course, it's not just here. We've seen similar things in the United States. What started with a sort of aspiration for a more insular trade policy and a light bit of xenophobia has now inarguably graduated to something more rabid, more extreme. And like, this is the thing with cults, man. It's like, you would think that there would be a point where people reach their out, wouldn't you? Like, if you look at it through the prism of addiction, you would think there would be a kind of rock bottom, right? Like, isn't there a point if you sit on the US right, if you're just an American conservative with a small c, isn't there a point when you're there in the MAGA crowd and they pull the curtain back and you see a seemingly very confused Roseanne Barr pushed out on the stage, struggling to form sentences, struggling to make sense? Isn't there a point where you, as an American conservative with a small c, should look up at that, look around at the rest of the crowd, and you see her, she's not making sense, but everyone else is like, I like her, she's speaking a lot of sense. Isn't there a point when you should go, yeah, this is, this is ridiculous now. Just as a little side mention, have you seen that Roseanne Barr clip? I mean, is she medicated? Has she actually gone legitimately insane?
If we don't stop these horrible communists, do you hear me? I'm asking you to hear me. Stalinist with a huge helping of Nazi fascists thrown in, plus wanting a caliphate.
Wait, what?
Caliphate.
All right, Grandma. Time to put the brandy down now, all right?
To replace every Christian democracy on earth now.
I reckon somewhere out there, Tom Arnold is watching this and doing, like, Matrix bullet, like, slow-mo dodging gestures, like...
Occupy! Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know that?
I like to imagine there's like a nursing home somewhere just in the outskirts of Iowa, and there's a fire escape door just swinging open in the breeze, and just down the corridor, there's two underpaid orderlies going, Michael, come quick! She got out again! But also, I don't think we can fully rule out that this is soft lobbying PR for greater regulation of the pharmaceutical industry.
Caliphate!
But anyway, back to the cult thing. Like, how come there isn't an out? How come there isn't a rock bottom? Because you would think after 4 years of Trump failing to bring manufacturing jobs back, failing to build his wall, failing to make them better off, the betrayal of his promises that everyday American workers would be better off from his tax cuts.
Our framework includes our explicit commitment that tax reform will protect low-income and middle-income households, not the wealthy.
When in observable reality, they only benefited the richest 1% of American families. The clumsy, nay deadly advice in his press conferences.
And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
That was said sarcastically.
That was
disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection?
It's like he's asking you to swallow his lies and then telling you to drink the bleach to get rid of the evidence. I mean, you would think, like, after 4 years of that, people would be like, he's running again. Really? Is he? Okay, well, good luck with it, I guess, but I'm out.
Is there a way we can do something like that?
This is the same
That was
man.
said sarcastically.
That was
sarcastic.
Like, here is the thing, right? I don't want to stop anyone from pursuing their dreams. Okay? That's not what I'm about at all. I think if you've got a goal set in mind, you should just go for it. But I also think people should look at Donald Trump running a second time like they would look at their oxygen-starved nephew trying to do a 5K run for the second time. Are you seriously letting him run again? Yeah. Really? Yeah. What? Well, I get that he likes feeling normal and he likes the people cheering him on, but, Doug, what is it? Last time he started frothing and he went into cardiac arrest on the first lap. Don't underestimate him. Jesus, Doug, people run to raise funds for people like him. He's the underdog. Doug! You're going to end up sending him up to heaven to be one of somebody's 3 ugly virgins. You what? And all of that Trump stuff, by the way, that is before we factored in the legal cases, all of the legal problems he's saddled with. Like, you would think American Republicans would be like, right, well, maybe he's not the guy to lead us to, address the challenges that we're facing. But no, here's some of the Kool-Aidsters from just last week.
I don't want to say he's perfect. The only perfect person that ever walked this earth was Jesus, but he was wonderful in office for 4 years, and he proved that. So what is it about Trump that you love so much?
Number one, he's a godly man.
Oh my God.
He's working for God, for darn sure. Number two, he really cares about us. He cares about us. He cares about what happens to us. He cares about our country. He didn't come in there because he wanted the money. He's got money.
Who are these people?
He fights for us, and I want to fight for him 100%.
He seems to really care when he's on stage. His presence of when he's talking to us, his patriots. He loves us. He loves us. He loves us. He loves us.
He's a
Godly man.
It's like you could put a flip chart up, like a flipboard, and you could take this lady through every single one of his misdemeanors and his lies, his rich tapestry of unchristian behavior and fraudulent conduct and broken promises, and she would just be like, it's clear to me now that the Lord is testing me. They're so deep in the Kool-Aid. And of course, it's not just at conventions, rallies, or Glastonbury where we see political cultism. It exists and flourishes in the timelines of social media. Ramonas never stop, do they? Brexit will be great. It's just going to take a few more years to reap those benefits. Every day that goes by just proves Corbyn was right, and he was our only hope. Donald Trump is Jesus. Stand up for Brexit. It's sure the full promise of Brexit is delivered. Nigel will save us. So where is this headed? What is our out for political cultism? Well, just like every great leader, inevitably there is a downfall. I mean, each of these people might think that they're Jesus, but time will show that they are far from immortal. I mean, to some, Elvis was the king. But that doesn't mean he was untouchable when he was unintelligibly dribbling through his sets in the 70s. Because history is littered with ideological leaders who commanded a cult-like loyalty, who thought they were God until God came knocking. So perhaps it is inevitable that Brexit's flame will eventually die out, that Trump's physical ability to fly to 2 rallies a day and speak for 2 hours a pop will wane with time. And at that point, where do these people go? Do they immortalize the person into a prophet? Do they crescendo their project into a church? I mean, the tax breaks would be right up their street, so... Or do they come down from the Kool-Aid? Like, oh my God, I was doing what? Yeah, you were running through the Capitol building, screaming about Marxists. Oh my God, did anybody see me? They stole the election! We're going in! Or when they do eventually die out, is there a power vacuum into which someone even more extreme steps? I don't think any of us can say, really, with any certainty. But look, the key thing is this. Yes, cults are scary. And the level of control that they exact on their cult members is frightening. But it's important to remember, guys, honestly, this too shall pass. One way or another, these cults won't be around for much longer. Nothing lasts forever. Well, I mean, nothing except this guy's alcoholism.
I got a brutal tattoo here.